After a brief period of relative uncertainty regarding the trajectory of the ongoing confrontation involving the Islamic Republic of Iran, with mixed messages emanating from Washington as to its intentions, 17th of March 2026 may well come to be seen as marking the continuation of a decapitation strategy against Iran's leadership. The reported killing of Ali Larijani, the influential secretary of Iran's Supreme National Security Council, widely regarded as one of the most powerful figures in the country after the supreme leader himself and a key coordinator of the state's day-to-day strategic affairs, is a development of considerable magnitude. According to Israel's defense minister, Israel Katz, Larijani was killed in an overnight precision strike in Tehran. Iran has not confirmed the killing of its national security chief, as instead moved to challenge the claim, with state media and Larijani's official accounts on X and Telegram releasing a handwritten note in which he pays tribute to 84 Iranian sailors killed in a recent attack. Ali Larijani, a man of considerable importance, a man of IRGC background, combining religious and secular traits, was often seen as a calculated and highly capable operator, a figure embodying both the intellectual drive and institutional continuity of the Islamic Republic. Unlike some of Iran's prominent public-facing figures, such as former Foreign Minister and Vice President Javad Zarif, or even the incumbent President Masoud Pezeshkian, he was not merely perceived as a diplomatic facade, but rather as a man genuinely embedded within the core decision-making architecture of the state. By some accounts, even the second most important figure after the Supreme Leader himself. Well, the self-same reports further suggests that the same wave of strikes have also resulted in the killing of General Ghulam Reza Soleimani, the head of the Basij, an organization widely regarded as one of the Islamic Republic's principal instruments of internal control and stability. Within hours of this report, a ballistic missile was launched towards central Israel, whilst debris from an intercepted projectile has reportedly caused a civilian fatality in Abu Dhabi, United Arab Emirates. But of course, all of this unfolds against a backdrop of mounting uncertainty, with oil prices rising and the Strait of Hormuz remaining a focal point of global concern and tension. Well, what does the killing, or reported killing, as far as things stand now, of Ali Larijani mean for Iran internally and for the wider region? We have often seen that when Iran is attacked or when senior figures are eliminated, it's not always its direct adversaries, the United States and Israel, that bear the immediate brunt of its response, but rather neighboring states and targets that are not strictly military in nature. What then are we to expect this time? We're joining us now to discuss this incredibly complicated situation. Mustafa Aydin, Professor from Kadir Has University, joining us from Istanbul, Turkey. Welcome, Professor. Mr. Mohammed Khatibi, journalist, Iran's foreign policy analyst, joining us from the capital of Iran, Tehran. Welcome, sir. And Dr. Sarah Feinberg, senior researcher from Elrum Center for Air and Space Studies, Tel Aviv University, joining us from Tel Aviv, Israel. Welcome to all of you. Thank you very much indeed for joining us at this very important hour. But bearing in mind that we're talking about what happened in Iran, I would like to propose my first question to Mr. Khatibi. I mean, as far as I understand, on the basis of the latest report, Iran has not confirmed the killing of Ali Larijani. What has been the reaction to this news so far in Tehran?
So, as previous killings inside Iran, the people are dealing with this situation with calm, and they say that this killing will not change anything, like it didn't change anything after the assassination of the leader. As we saw at the beginning of this crisis, United States and Israel assassinated Iran's leader, and after just 2 hours, Iran started the retaliation against United States and Israeli interests in the region. So people right now, even if this is a rumor or if it is true, they say that a younger person will replace him and they continue to retaliate. And also they say that the individuals are not important, but it's the system which remains and continues to operate. Unlike the calculation by the United States and Israel, the system is well formed and it will not collapse by omitting and eliminating individuals. So Right now, people are across the country protesting and urging more retaliation. Also, there is a call from the anti-Iran groups and opposition groups outside of the country, for example, the monarchists, for a uprising today. But people are in streets and they are trying to send a clear message to the opposition groups outside of the country that the people are the only ones who can decide the future of the country, not the United States and not Israel.
Thank you, Mr. Khatibi. Dr. Freienberg, what is your evaluation of what happened? How consequential is this development? And what should be the next steps for US and Israel afterwards? And sorry, I'm asking many questions, but what do you make of the resilience of the Islamic Republic of Iran as well, as part of your answer? Thank you.
I think this assassination, which is, I believe, most welcome by the Iranian people, contrary to what was stated before, which is apparently a pro-regime journalistic assessment, is just part of a faith-based campaign that has significantly diminished the potentially offensive capabilities of Iran. As we speak, the air defense infrastructure, the Navy, the command and control centers, Iran's remaining air force were completely obliterated. I have to say that the nuclear infrastructures were severely damaged. And this series of surgical strikes against Iran's genocidal regime and genocidal leadership against its own people is just an addition to this very efficient faith-based elimination of a threat that is not only a threat to the state of Israel where I sit, but it's a threat to the entire Middle East, including the Gulf state countries and including beyond the country that you represent, Mr. Journalist, Azerbaijan.
Thank you very much indeed. Professor Aydin, it seems that Iran's security and intelligence apparatus now visibly compromised. After all, the killing of national security supremo is an important development, in particular bearing in mind his consequentiality and the role he played within the system there, and also killing of the head of the Basij, reported killing of Basij is also another important factor. Basij is an important institution of Iranian life. What is next, do you think? What is your evaluation of what's happening?
Well, we have already seen this in the 12-day war back in June, and this war also, this time also, is proving that Iran has been totally penetrated by intelligence operations both from Israel and from the United States. Having said this, Iran has endured and sustained killing, different levels of sustained killing of its leadership, both political and security leadership so far. However, if true, Ali Larijani is a different matter. He has emerged in this war as one of the top leaders of both political and military decision making. And in a sense, when the supreme leader is incognito, if he is not available, Larijani appeared to be the de facto leader of the regime and the system. So if true, his killing would be quite a coup, quite an important, and it will affect the Iranian ability to conduct the warfare. But looking so far the developments and Iran's ability to reply, although diminishing numbers in every day, I would assume that somebody else will be replacing him, and it might be already decided. And then Iran will continue to their defense mechanism, attacking different countries in different targets related to especially to the United States defense mechanism and radars, thereby trying to reach to Israel most probably eventually when they decimate all the radars that prevent Iran to retaliate.
Mr. Khatibi, what President Pezeshkian said, I think last week, when he apologized to the neighboring countries for the damage caused after Iran's retaliatory measures. He said that after the killing of the supreme leader Ali Khamenei, some of the commanders, IRGC commanders, were so disillusioned, they were so depressed that they went beyond control, and he then apologized for that. What does constitute, in real terms, not in principle, but in practice, Iran's retaliatory space? I mean, on 3 separate occasions, Turkish airspace was violated. Turkey's approach seems to be one of calm and tranquility, that we understand what's happening. Azerbaijan's Nakhchivan airport was targeted from Iranian territory, and Azerbaijan seems to be absolutely confident that that was Iran's IRGC commanders doing that. Iran disagrees with that. But what does constitute, in particular after this sensitive moment, because Ali Larijani's reported killing is an important moment, what will constitute legitimate retaliatory space for Iran?
So before answering your question, I would like to talk about our esteemed colleagues' comments about the Iranian people. First of all, our esteemed colleague talked about surgical operations, but we are seeing otherwise. The United States and Israel targeted a school in southern Iran, which killed over 170 schoolgirls. She is accusing Iran of genocide. The same Israel, which is effectively committing that in Gaza Strip, and the international organizations, including the ICJ, have said that there are facts and proof that Israel is committed genocide in the Gaza Strip. So talking about surgery is not accurate, and talking about people of Iran and is not what an Israeli can do. So Iranian people should decide for themselves. Also, coming to your question about Iran's retaliation and how Dr. Pezeshkian talked about it and apologized. This was not an apology based on what has happened. It was an attempt to calm the situation and ensure our neighbors, Iran's neighbors, I mean, Persian Gulf states, that Iran will only target United States and Israeli interests. And if those countries prevent attacks from their sovereign territory against Iran, Iran will not retaliate. So, as we have seen, Iran has only targeted military infrastructure, not like United States and Israel, and US assets in the region and Israeli military bases are the primary targets of Iranian military offenses, not civilian infrastructure. We have seen attacks on Iranian civilian infrastructure that has nothing to do with the military. For example, some days ago, Israel targeted fuel depots in Tehran, and also it targeted many heritage sites inside Tehran. That is not acceptable.
Dr. Khatibi, one follow-up question with your permission, if I may. We heard very mixed messages coming from different power centers in Iran. For example, President Pezeshkian, foreign minister, deputy foreign minister, saying that Azerbaijan, for example, which is a neighboring country, does not constitute a military target for Iran, and there is no US and Israeli military base there, and Azerbaijan has made it very clear that Azerbaijan territory will not be used against Iran, against any third country. But still, Nakhchivan airport was targeted. Question to you is the following. When we hear comments coming from IRGC commander, for example, who's saying that Azerbaijan has to move all the Israeli elements from its territory, otherwise it will be targeted. That's his official person coming from Iran. It's IRGC commander. And a foreign minister saying something in a different fashion, more diplomatic. How should we interpret who is in charge of this country called Iran? The question to you, sir.
I couldn't hear you.
Yeah, what I'm saying,
the internet is not good enough.
Mr. Khatibi, what I'm saying is that quite often we hear mixed messages coming from different power centers in Iran. For example, IRGC commander is saying that Azerbaijan has to remove all the Israeli elements, otherwise it will be targeted. And then President Pezeshkian and others saying that Azerbaijan does not constitute a target for us because it's our neighborly friendly country. In fact, there is no US military or Israeli military asset in Azerbaijan. So commanders are threatening and the civilians are using soft language. I mean, Iran is our neighbor. What should we make of this rhetoric?
There is a core principle inside Iran, and that is respect for sovereign nations and their territorial integrity. So what is Iran is trying to say that if your territory is used to attack against us, you will be attacked. This is not a mixed message. This is trying to lay out the principles which Iran operates. And Iran respects Azerbaijan's, Turkey's, and every other nation in the region's territorial integrity and sovereignty. So what Iran is trying to signal is that don't support the United States and Israel and respect Iranian sovereign territory. If you pass this red line, you will be attacked. This is simple.
Well, do you think Azerbaijan has crossed the red line of Iran in that particular respect, in the context of Nakhchivan airstrike, drone attack?
I don't think that this is a claim, and I don't think that there is a strong proof that Iran carried out that attack.
Well, Azerbaijan side seems to be very convinced, but I fully understand Iran does not agree with that. But on 3 separate occasions, Turkish airspace was violated as well. It's very interesting who is in charge of Iran. That's a fundamental problem, Mr. Khatibi, because President Pezeshkian, when he's speaking to President Aliyev, it looks like that they're having a constructive conversation. When I interviewed Deputy Foreign Minister of Iran, he seemed to be a very constructive person. But when it comes to real action, it looks like Iran, in principle, does not target countries like Azerbaijan, but in practice, it looks like it does. But let's continue our conversation. Dr. Fromberg, I would like to hear your reflection regarding, do you think, bearing in mind that Gulf countries are being targeted, Azerbaijan was targeted, that US should, and Israel perhaps, should think about the contingency plan subsequent to what is happening regarding Iran? Because Iran is a very unpredictable actor, as we have seen.
I agree. The main problem here is a problem related to the very structure of air warfare. On the one side, you have technologically superior and morally superior forces, because it's difficult for me to accept the propaganda of a pro-regime person that is lying deliberately about the fact that the Israeli civilians, including my children, were targeted deliberately and not military bases, but this is another question. And on the other hand, the strength of a weaker power that has created a killing powerhouse of missiles and nuclear infrastructure for years. And unfortunately, in modern air wars, this kind of asymmetry sometimes plays in favor of the weaker power and retaliate against a large number of countries with replenishable, easily producible drones and missiles and loitering munitions deliberately targeting civilians. In that sense, my assessment is that Israel and the US should intensify the strike against not the population, the Iranian regimes, the Iranian leaders, the Iranian infrastructure that are a destabilization for the Gulf countries, for Israel, for Azerbaijan, for the Eastern Mediterranean, and for the world, as long as it takes, and plan for contingency plans with everything that has to do with the domestic situation in Iran. The assessment that we heard earlier is a complete lie. We have assessments about the Iranian population that is very angry at the regime, and we are looking to moves coming from the grassroots and great that is not represented here by Mr. Journalist, that will bring about a positive change for Iran, for this great country of Iran, for the Middle East, and for the world.
Professor Aydin, we found ourselves in an incredibly difficult situation. Nothing of the kind has happened before. This conflict is very different to the 12-day war in many ways. And the immediate neighbors of Iran are facing the outcomes. Iran is saying that I'm retaliating against US assets, but also civilian infrastructure is being damaged, as well as we see on the basis of the footage coming from the Gulf region and so forth. Do you think the United States has a plan B for in the context of all of these attacks? I mean, the message coming from President Trump is incredibly ambiguous. One day he's saying that we have achieved our ambition, I can declare victory, which will be the greatest victory in the history of humanity. The other day he's saying that we need to continue, intensify our attacks. I mean, all of these elements seem to intensify and augment that uncertainty, which is incredible matter of great concern for the regional actors, including Turkey and Azerbaijan. What is your take on this situation?
Well, you are right on the point. I mean, it's not only the messages coming from President Trump from the United States, but also if you follow the debates within the United States decision-making community and also policy community, that there was not a plan A. Obviously, not only plan B is not there, plan A is nobody is sure about it. We have not been given, not only us, but also it seems that the US military also was not given the end expectation, exit strategy, what to accomplish in this attack. Because in every military operation, you have to have an end game, right? You have to have a political solution you want to achieve. Here we don't know about this. Every day it seems to be changing. The messages coming from Washington is different almost every day. So we don't know what they want to achieve. Either they're trying to achieve the end of Iran nuclearization or missile program or regime change or decapitation of all the leadership in Iran. We don't know that. That also makes it difficult life, not only for us, the neighboring countries, and for the countries who are bearing the attacks of this conflict, but also for the United States itself. Just today, there was a resignation, high-level resignation within the Trump administration, saying that the person did not agree with the war aims. Obviously, the aims keep changing, and we might see this kind of a dissatisfied leadership in Washington as well.
Mr. Khatibi, we recognize, as everybody, even the critics of Islamic Republic of Iran, even those people who do not like Islamic Republic of Iran, they all acknowledge, practically all of them with some exception, that system there is incredibly resilient. It's not a simple system. It's got its own sort of a circular reinforcement mechanism. It's an old country. It's got a history and so forth. And this is acknowledged. But simultaneously, what is the realistic support, steadfast support enjoyed by the government in Tehran? I mean, I've seen some footages coming from the streets of Tehran. It looks like people support their leaders, but surely it's not the entire country. Is it 15, 20%? What is the extent of the support for their current system there, which is facing probably its greatest challenge ever?
So, like other countries, the majority of the people are not political, and they are more about, they think more about the economy and their well-being rather than politics. So the protests in January, which happened, was because of the economic grievances and the economic situation, which more of it is because of the sanctions and the pressures by the United States and its Western allies. So people care more about economy, and they are not political. They don't want to be in a hard situation, and they are now wanting a peace that will continue. Iran was on the negotiating table, which Israel and the United States blew 2 times. And this is what the majority of Iranians are against. They are against a renewed war after a ceasefire. They think that if a ceasefire happens right now, between Iran and the United States, Israel will still attack Iran and call it a preemptive strike. And these people are worried that the peace will not happen without showing deterrence and restoring deterrence. So you talked about the opposition and people who are angry with the state. These people have different views. There is no one opposition, one formal opposition. There are many groups like monarchists, MKO, and many others who have been fighting themselves for years, and there is no strong opposition against the Islamic Republic, and these groups are scattered and they don't have a unified voice. In the past waves of protests, we saw that. And right now, the leading figure is son of former Shah of Iran, and he is trying to persuade the majority of the people to join him. But we have seen in these days that that cannot be the case because people will not respond to him. And the protests right now inside Iran are the pro-Islamic Republic protests, and nothing has changed in the weeks and months after the protests inside Iran. So the opposition is really weak in terms of the popularity.
Dr. Sarah Feinberg, we heard from Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who made it very clear. From Israeli perspective, it looks like the collapse of the Islamic Republic of Iran is the best possible option. We heard degree of hesitancy coming from Washington regarding that as well. So if President Donald Trump comes out and declares victory, with the system there, Islamic Republic of Iran, still in place, still carrying out its policy and sort of building up, recovering, will that be a satisfactory outcome for Israel?
It will be satisfactory in the sense that we would have achieved many operational successes that I've mentioned before. The destruction of the air defense, the destruction of the navy, the complete destabilization of the regime, even if it's still resilient because of a strong propaganda apparatus that we're hearing in front of our eyes. But it will also mean for Israel that Israel will have to continue what it has to do, which is to lead preventive wars again and again as a defensive move against a regime that has publicly declared that its main objective is the destruction of, I quote, the Zionist regime. I am an Israeli. I'm here to live. I'm here to build my country. And unfortunately, because of this murderous, genocidal regime that has proved the extent of its violence against its own people, against our Arab Sunni neighbors, against our allies, we will have to do what we will have to do. And this is sad to say, but this is a strategic imperative for us, and this is the first condition of our survival as a state and as a nation.
Dr. Feinberg, if Iran's nuclear capacity gone, ballistic missile infrastructure completely destroyed, navy is not there, if Iran is not capable of projecting power beyond its borders, will it still be danger to Israel, you think? Just because of the ideology of the Islamic Republic in line with which the Jewish state must be destroyed, which has been the official ideology since 1979.
It will be dangerous for Israel in the sense that Iran has one of the best reverse engineering systems in the world. It's a country where you have top scientists, top engineers, and they've proved again and again their capacity to replenish their arsenal of ballistic missiles, of drones, of UAVs, of cyber capabilities, partly due to the assistance of Russia, North Korea, and other actors. So you have a very strong homegrown capabilities that will not be able, that this is not something that you can eradicate from the beginning. So the idea is to diminish as much as possible the destructive capabilities of Iran until an acceptable threshold due to Iran's open and openly articulated intentions to destroy the country where I live in.
Professor Aydin, my last question is to you. There are two competing narratives coming, one from Iran, from Israel. Turkey and Azerbaijan are facing their own challenges. Azerbaijan has got vitally important strategic relations with Israel and also evolving strategic relations with the United States. Azerbaijan and Turkey are allies. There is a NATO Article 5 style mutual clause defense protection mechanism between these two countries. For the sake of stability in this region and for the purpose of defending the Turkish-Azerbaijani national interests, what should be the course of action collectively pursued by these two countries, Ankara and Baku?
I think it has been quite clear. Both countries wanted the same thing: the stop of aggression as soon as possible and stop of attacking each other of these forces and these countries. Turkey in this region specifically never ever wants a war on its borders, and we have been facing a one way or another war in our borders since 1991. You know, it started in Iraq, continued in Syria, now is in Iran. Obviously, this is hurting our economy, our security, and even our political stability. And I presume a similar situation and feeling in Azerbaijan also. We prefer, and I see Azerbaijan is the same here, we prefer a continuity of stability, a trading apparatus established throughout the region. So in order to this happen, we need to have a ceasefire as soon as possible, because look, the war has already moved on to the second level and second week, and already go different directions that it was anticipated. You know, it obviously the fighting powers, both Iran and on the other side, United States and Israel, do not know exactly where this conflict could end and whether it could be stabilized. However, the region desperately needs stabilization. So the best way forward is always, as Turkey prefers, is the political dimension and diplomatic dimension.
I have to leave. I have a siren.
Thank you very much indeed to all of you. Professor Aydin, Mustafa Aydin, and Mr. Mohammed Khatibi.
Iran is attacking us.
Dr.
I have to leave to the bomb shelter. Thank you, Mr. Journalist.
Dr. Sarah Feinberg.
Thank you for targeting my
Dr.
children.
Sarah Feinberg, I'm very grateful to you for your time. Thank you very much for your answers. Well, indeed. Thank you very much to all of you. I would like to reiterate my thanks to Professor Mustafa Aydin, who joined us from Istanbul, Turkey. I would like to thank Mr. Mohammed Khatibi, who joined us from Tehran, the capital of the Islamic Republic of Iran, and also Dr. Sarah Feinberg, who joined us from Tel Aviv, Israel. Thank you to all of you again.